Sam,
I heard there'd be cake.
Slightly higher up. People will come if there's punch and pie. Well, people will come. Sam, it needs to go up. It looks very, you know.
What is this? Were you and Bruce? What is going on?
What is going on with what?
It's very what would you call it?
Sexual?
There's that too. Bruce is doing the same. I mean, we are so organised this morning. Hello, everybody.
Is that better?
It's lovely, darling.
Well,
beautifully proportioned.
Well, I mean, you're still in it, but it'll do.
How rude. Bruce isn't even here.
What's going on here, Alex? You've got one of those sort of, what are you doing? You're singing a song?
Yeah. No, I've always had this. This is what I used to do the podcast with, but I never had like a posh microphone thing, so I got one for today. That's how sad I am. I also got for the little cupboard under the stairs. I also started getting this stuff as well.
What's that?
The little come to the. Oh, he thinks he's Harry Potter now.
I don't think Harry Potter had soundproofing under his floor, did he?
Well, what was you up to under there?
Well, they
hang on. What are you up to in there? If you need soundproofing, what's going on?
What's going on?
About it? Should we be live if we're talking about this, mate?
I'll tell you what I did get today, though, which was beautiful from my wife, was this thing, which is, it says it on the side, Grimsby, zoom it in, zoom it out, Grimsby Town Home 2022-23. Look, it's little Sabutio men. And they're right, and they've got all the right kit. Let's have a quick look. Who's this? Smith? I don't think I can zoom it in. I might have to take a picture.
Can I have the one of Mishy?
No, you can't. He's already been taken out. He's been sold back to Wealdstone.
Is the scanner one broken?
The scanner one doesn't even come in the box.
Just one leg.
Optional extra. You pay for it, but you don't get out.
I'm slightly worried, actually. What number is Mishi?
2.
Oh, this might be a Darren Mansorum FIFA 2003 incident.
Oh, they've not, have they? They've not, have they?
That's Mishi.
Yeah, they have. Yeah, they have. Anyone want to take a hit explaining that to people listening, not watching?
Mishi is white.
There we go.
Clifton has got black hair. I mean, this is ruining it for me. Someone has got blonde hair, though. Who's that?
Andy Smith?
Anthony Glennon, inexplicably.
I think we should stop. I think we should stop this conversation now. I don't like where it's going at all.
So what's happened here is your wife has gone all out and thought of what is a nice present to get my lovely husband. He's mental about Grimsby Town, probably to a degree that isn't healthy for him. And we've taken a look at the present, and we've just spent the last 2 or 3 minutes just pulling it to shreds. And I don't think that's quite on.
I don't blame Leanne for that. I think it was a lovely gesture, and I really like it. And they're
what's a nice gesture?
He's going to have to get one of those paint pots and like change everybody's hair and stuff, aren't you? You'd be in the garage like 2 a.m.
Again, is this wise?
Yeah, let's be careful. Let's be very careful.
I've done it wrong. Luke Waterfall's now got blackface. I've done it wrong. I painted the wrong player.
I'll just leave that one a few weeks, mate. Just wait for the retain list before you start messing about. Otherwise you'll end up with somebody that's orange because you've had to go over a brown face with a white one.
With Mishies, do you put him away like in his right place and then just inexplicably go back and he's somewhere where he's not meant to be? Completely out of position.
We'll get onto that later.
I'm all ready. I've come prepared this evening.
Yeah, you look prepared from that camera angle we just had a minute ago, mate.
Yeah, it was quite revealing. I'm glad you weren't wearing shorts.
Are we on?
We are on. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, the title of the podcast can't be Luke Waterfall is the wrong colour. Right. I don't know what else. Do we do the whole thing? We've done the preamble, I guess. Nobody's here. Sorry, we've changed everything. We've gone on later. Apologies. I've only just got in.
Oh, we've actually got more than usual.
That's true. Right.
Open wide for some soccer!
And now the shipping forecast issued by the Met Office on behalf of the Maritime and Coast Guard Agency at 1130. Go! At 1130.
They've done it! They've done it! It's Maguire Drew! They've done it again, this team!
What a magnificent piece of football!
A really, really good goal!
You can't let this one go down. Grimsby are heading back to the Football League.
Love it. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the DM35 podcast. We are alive and well as best we can be. Apologies for moving the time around. We had cake apart from you guys. Bruce, how are you?
All good, mate. Thank you. You? Happy birthday, by the way.
Thank you very much. Who are you sponsoring today?
Pepsi.
Oh dear.
I'm on the soft stuff tonight, mate. I've got a big weekend to build up to. We're at Butlins with Maisie's football team.
So I think that's the problem.
The parents are all a bit excited.
Are they? Who's on at Butlins?
Oh, I don't. Well, I don't know who's on. There's some.
Let's have a look. Where are they skating?
No, it's. I don't think. Well, I don't know. It might be like a normal weekend, but it's a kids' football tournament special weekend. So I don't know if there's any act on. I saw S Club 3 last time I went.
Can you not do a turn,
that's
Bruce?
That's inappropriate at the moment.
Could you do a turn, Bruce?
I might take a turn.
Yeah.
After a few too many. But unfortunately, we found out that the girls' tournament's actually not being played at Butlins, so somebody's got to be fit to drive the morning after the night before. So we'll see how that one pans out.
It's nowhere near Butlins. It's just an excuse. You're going to Butlins and you're driving 300 miles to the tournament and then back to Butlins.
But we might be staying over on the Sunday night, so I might join next Sunday from Butlins. We've had the cricket club. We'll do Butlins this time.
Roving reporter, Bruce.
Right, so you've got the Masked Singer on.
Really?
Yeah,
that'll be somebody's shit. Well, that's the idea. You don't know who it is.
Live performances, daily act, headlines, and artists. It's not telling me. Find your big weekend. I don't want to find the big weekend. You've got 90s. You've got 90s Reloaded. Oktoberfest. I assume that's not on this weekend.
I'll tell you what, 90s Reloaded. Bruce would just be there. Like, I don't like any of this modern stuff.
Where's Paul Groves?
Where's Macca? Give me Macca and Grovesy.
Not that Macca, the other one.
Yeah, James would come out, wouldn't he? Good evening. No, not him. No.
Then James. Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for that birthday messages. Really appreciate it. That's very kind of you. Sam, how are you?
Me? I'm all right. As ever.
No, he's a coiled spring today.
A coiled spring. Yeah. Well, I went to the game yesterday, so I tested seeing if you can get to London, get to Cleethorpes and back in a day, which you can do. Yesterday.
Is that actually possible?
Yeah. Well, I did it yesterday.
Is
you hear that, Mike?
Is this new information to any of us?
Mike,
did you drive on the train?
On the train. Changed at Doncaster.
It's all right when you're young and you've got nothing else to do at the weekend. But
you're gonna have to put this. You're gonna have to put this in the WhatsApp for Mike, mate, with some instructions.
I like how I get away with it scot free.
Have you done any home games this season?
No.
No, I think I've been to more than him.
I fucking won't do either. The way they play.
That's why.
And with that kind of attitude, that's why we're so poor at home. We'll keep that negative vibe away from Blundell Park. It's good job you don't make any home games.
Yeah, it's my fault. Yeah, the flag.
Well,
I buried the flag under the corner.
We've got Sam. We've got happy, cheerful Sam, haven't we? As a regular visitor. That's good.
He was on the radio yesterday. Did you hear him?
No.
I didn't.
What did he say?
Like first 5 seconds, he went straight in on Crocombe. Like, didn't even get asked about him. He's
I
like,
don't know what.
how was the train journey? He was like, do you know that Max Crocombe? He's like, that's why my train journey.
Do you know what? If this train was driven by Max Crocombe, it would end up in Brighton, and there isn't even a direct line. He'd have had to change near Charing Cross. Take the Thames Link.
Victoria, isn't it? But
Thames Link.
What was I going to say again? No, because well, you put my name to Humberside weeks and weeks ago, Alex, and then out the blue they gave me a ring yesterday on Friday saying, "Oh, do you want to come onto the fans panel tomorrow?" And it was just after I'd decided to. Go to Cleethorpes yesterday, so I said, "Yeah, why not?" I don't know that they'll have me back on. I went straight. The problem is the guy before me stole my thunder because I was going to go in there and say. I talk about the home form and say thank you for using me as your sort of vehicle to ask Hurst about the discrepancy in the home and away form. But the guy before me kind of had that conversation already, so I couldn't go in on that one. So I just decided to talk about Crocombe and Taylor instead.
I think that was James Howes, wasn't it? He talks sense, unlike you. So.
Talks sense. Humberside advice.
I don't mind Humberside, but I think people hear my opinion enough, so I don't really want to. Not to mention the last time, where is it? Matt D made me wait for about 25 minutes at Boreham Wood. Like, Matt, I want to go home. I don't want to have to listen to some depressed Scunny fan talking about relegation to the National League.
Yeah, and I bottled out of saying at least we aren't Scunny at the end of the game. At the end, but
talking about travel and Scunny, Alex, what did you have any sort of adventures yesterday, or did you not? Or was you up to anything about 5 o'clock? What was you doing at home? Or
when the full time was Sub Blue, I am about 3-4 minutes drive from Aldershot town. So I did drive up Reedham Road with Black and White for You belting out, shouting up the Mariners as the 6 or 7 Scunny fans left. And then I went back round and did it again as well as they were walking down, just in case they didn't hear me. But
that's like something from the in-between.
You weren't doing that as an alibi, weren't you?
Away wankers!
see, Bruce, you play more Scunny games than town games, and you leave him alone, don't you?
He controls the buttons, mate. If he don't want me here, if I misbehave with Alex, I'm out. I'll be out of here, mate.
The problem is, I gave Mike control of it when I was away that time, and now he hasn't logged out of it, so he's got control as well. So he can.
I've got buttons. I've got buttons.
There you go. See, look, I'm not doing it. I'm free. Problem is now is that Mike can watch us all in the background, because for those of you who don't see this, and I guess Sam and Bruce don't, there's like little video screens of all of us at the bottom. So if we've got guests waiting to come on, we can see it. Which is quite funny. Like, is it Alicia earlier last week when she was for the town game? She was trying to shut everybody up as we were about to come on, which was quite funny.
The thing is, Alex, is you know when we did the big Brighton preview and Bruce sat there and watched the entire thing. Just me and you were texting like, "What is Bruce doing now?" We're just watching him like a couple of weirdos watching him. Didn't know he's been watched, and he sat there. He's picking his nose. You know, he's doing all sorts, and we just sat here watching him. Because we can see him in the corner.
That's a bit weird, lads. That is.
Well, we had to sort of call a halt to it when he started doing other stuff. We had to say it's a bit weird now.
Yeah, those
shorts. We can see him. Yeah, those shorts
Simon
higher and higher.
Simon is saying they only asked Sam to do Humberside as Mariner Hodel turned it down. Simon, I'm not having this anymore now. Mariner Hodel does more numbers than us, and the love and the props we've given him, and the support we've given him, and now he's making big numbers. Have we heard anything about the N35? Have we not? He got 2,500 views last week when I checked it. I've not heard one moment about DN35. So, Sam needs to get on there because we need to promote our brand.
I wasn't on there as a member of DN35. I was on there as
Thank God for that.
As Sam Barrett, Grimsby Town season ticket holder who regularly attends games of football. Although, if I present myself as a member of DN35, I'll be associated. If I put down I'm a member of DN35, I'll then be associated with all those crap political takes that you come out with, Alex.
If you put yourself down as associated with DN35, that will not do us any good. So thank you for that.
I don't think I do put any. Pay him to sponsor his videos. I'm not sponsoring his videos. I'm not paying him.
He's forgotten where he's from. He's forgotten his roots.
I I can't help but feel that Simon's like one of them parents that you go to at the kids' football, and he only gives a shit about his own kid and not the team. It's just like, it's just like everything. Marina Hodo this, Marina Hodo that. Like you say, he's got bigger numbers. He can piss off now.
He's just on YouTube and he's watching us and he's shouting to Marina Hodo. It's like, fucking snap him, snap the M35.
Yeah. You get him, son.
You leave him in the dust.
It'd be all over Facebook. My boy beat the M35, and all his teammates must be in the background, blurred out on the picture.
Simon, it was me that
like, who are you?
Simon, it was me who told the Gillingham steward to tell him to stop recording. That's
there's no I in team, Simon.
Shit house.
But there is an eye in Marina Hodo's account, which is live on YouTube and can be subscribed to. Remember to like and subscribe.
Should we talk about the game rather than slacking off Marina Hodo and Alex's present?
Just before we go on to the game, can I just do so? I've got something more important to discuss.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because the game feels a little bit meh now. It's like sort of, we'll just start in the second half. We'll 9 o'clock we'll get going. Right.
Yeah, that's good idea.
Thank you. Good night.
I've been in the cupboard, right? I want all of us to choose one of these, right? And I'll sort you out next time I see you, right? So I've got a gold bar, right? Anybody like gold bars?
Yeah, I quite like them.
Right, okay. So that's Sam. Right.
I'll be honest, Bruce. I'm a fat man. I like all confectionery.
Right, well, you're not having all three, you greedy bastard. Right. I've got a jammy wagon wheel, right?
That's mine.
No, hang on. And we've got a regular wagon. You're still on regular. We've got the jammy.
No, I want the jam one, or if you've got it, the orange one.
No, we've not got that, right?
You filthy psychopath. An orange one.
And then the last thing's a penguin.
Oh, I love that. It's got better jokes than me.
They're horrible and sickly penguins. They've got a real synthetic taste to them.
You're only supposed to eat them 1 or 2 at a time, Sam. Bloody hell. We will be sickly if you have a full packet.
I've not had one for about 10 years.
Bruce, tell us the joke on the penguin.
Oh, bloody hell, mate. I'll need my glasses. You wait, there'll be an Aldi penguin, mate. The joke will be in bloody foreign.
Did you hear that, by the way, Alex? Alex, Sam hates penguins. There's the line. Tories hate lovable creatures.
I know. We've seen,
right.
Our golden beaches.
Just because you're concerned about those closing opinion polls. No problem.
How do penguins get around?
I don't know.
Eat a lot of food.
On a bicycle.
On a what?
A
bicycle.
Oh, okay, fine.
Oh, it doesn't work if you have to explain it.
Simon's back. We've got DN35 stickers. I didn't even know we had stickers.
We hadn't even got DN35 stickers.
This is the thing, Alex. You wonder why people we're getting lower ratings than, because you basically spend all your time moaning about people, whether it's Marina Hodo, Misha Fete, the Luton guy.
I have had a great idea.
The Bradford, the lower league lot.
The Crawley lad.
Like
I've had a great idea, chaps. We'll get some DN35 stickers and we'll put them in the urinals at Bundle Park.
No, I'll tell you what we'll do is we'll get some DN35 stickers and stick them over the Marina Hodo ones.
You won't, will you, Mike? You won't, will you, Mike? Because that requires you to go to Blundell Park.
Oh, Sam. Oh, my goodness.
Simon is saying that Hodo made them. Hang on, we've got a copyright infringement here.
We'll see you in court. We'll have to get the lawyers back.
No, he's welcome to make them for us, because we ain't going to get off our asses and do anything like that, are we?
We were going
do we want to be associated with child labour there? Is there a little exposure?
We did do a little bit. I did do a little bit of work. I was trying to work out. We were trying to replace the old Target urinal stickers, and we were going to have a fish one. We piss on your fish, and then it would reveal the DN35 logo. They must have all stopped in the 90s. Those companies that make those heat things, because I can't find them for love nor money.
What happened to those ones you made? Was it pre-season with Cropper with the big throw and all the people?
Well, no, not really done anything with them, but I can do. It'd be relevant.
Awesome. And then just Houlihan with
the green one was the best one, as always.
Yeah.
Do we have to talk about the football?
It was cold yesterday in the lower.
Was it? Well, do you know what
the sun was out.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sun was out. I was waiting on Grimsby Road for Maisie. She'd gone in to get some sweets before the match, because I had to give her some pleasure on a Saturday afternoon, don't I? And we Yeah, I've got my coat on, and it was absolutely boiling. But you know that within 5 minutes, you're going to be frozen solid if you're on that side of the ground. Whoever thought that we should build the biggest stand on that side of the ground? All them years ago, they should have knocked down the main and bought them houses and built the big stand that side. Because
It'd been a windbreak.
there's half the pitch. Half the pitch doesn't get any sunlight. There's no wonder it's so bloody crap. And then the fans that are in that side of the ground, life expectancy of about 15 years lower. There's no wonder the main stand's full of old people. All the ones that sit on the other side have died.
They did make a comment yesterday about the difference on the. Hurst was saying like the difference in condition of the pitch. Like when you get into that stage, it's really boggy and stuff. It's like he's got a real beef in his bonnet about the pitch, and I mean,
you want to try?
He's not even asked about it. He finds a way to shoehorn it in, doesn't he?
Sorry, what is a beef in a bonnet?
It's a bee in his bonnet.
It's a bee in his bonnet. It's not a beef in his bonnet.
I said bee, didn't I?
You said beef.
Gaslighting me.
You can't just say. Wait, did you lads hear beef, or am I imagining things?
No, I heard him say bees, to be honest, mate. But just go with it. You're committed now.
I don't mind. Yeah, I've said beef. Yeah,
you're down the same road as you're down the same road as me and the black. Down the same road as me and the Black Mamba, mate. Now you've got to stick with it.
But it was lovely and warm on Grimsby Road and sort of around Steels because I went to Market Tavern for a couple of drinks before the game.
Grimsby Road is nowhere near Steels.
No, and around that sort of okay. It was warm around Steels, and so I wasn't very clear there.
Well saved, mate. We wouldn't want you thinking you're out of touch with the area, would we?
I've never lived in Grimsby or Cleethorpes, remember?
Sam, there's a gag in there about being out of touch with the area, but we won't stoop that low. Will we? Me and you, we won't stoop that low. You carry on.
But yeah, in the main stand, it was freezing as ever. I'm absolutely sure that Blundell Park has some kind of, it's like microclimate because it is always 10 degrees colder than the surrounding area.
Yeah, definitely.
It just is.
The wind, it whirls around it.
And this is what gets me about
Mexican wave.
So Hurst has complained before about windy conditions at away games, and I've said, we play by the bloody sea. We should be better placed to play with wind than anybody else in the country.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. We don't need to tune into the Met Office, just DN35. That's where you get your weather updates.
That's another reason not to move the training ground to Doncaster. Then there'd be no way they'd be familiar with the bloody climate, would they?
So Doncaster have its own climate.
I said the club's got I said Blundell Park's got a microclimate.
I tried to tell Emmanuel that at Brighton that it was like Nice, but I don't think he was having it.
He heard you say nice. You thought you were offering him a biscuit. The first half was they were apparently. I was listening to the interviews, and they were trying to do something. I think effectively they were just trying to play out from the back and push everyone wider. I don't know. He was having a moan at both fullbacks, not just the one, Sam. Before you leap forward, but I think he was making a pointed criticism about the positioning of both the fullbacks, and they weren't necessarily doing what they were needing to do. But I don't think anyone seemed to be doing what they needed to do. There was a massive gap between, the isolated front two and the midfield. Everyone was playing quite deep, and I thought it was a load of shite.
The reality is, I get why, if you wanted to play out from the back and draw them out of position, I understand that, and therefore that's why you don't pick Waterfall, because Maher and Smith are both decent on the ball. But the issue is, I like Mishi, but he's not the most kind of composed in possession. That kind of wondered why you picked Gallagher, because Glennon's way better on the ball than Gallagher is. And then you've got Kieran Green as your holding midfielder, who, again, for all his qualities, he's not going to play defence splitting passes, is he? So he's
blood and thunder, isn't he?
Yeah, he has lots of other fantastic attributes, but passing is not one of them. And then, of course, our goalkeeper's kicking is appalling. So at the same time, it was always going to be a bit of an uphill struggle, I think, to actually carry that out. Although I'm sure it was the right game strategy because
I think having that gap that Honda and Croft sort of got to be in their bonnet about in the first half, I think that was entirely on purpose. So I just don't think we utilised it well enough. You can see what he's trying to do. He's got four lads pushed on quite high, trying to drag them about, and the space for the fullbacks just didn't utilise it. I don't think we were wanting to play much through the middle, which is why we've got 2 defensive midfielders in there to try and keep a bit of solidity in the centre. But we just didn't enact it, and I think that sort of goes to a point we've raised before. Is he's had a game on Monday. He must have had a recovery session on Tuesday, a day off on Wednesday. He's got 1 or 2 days to work on it because of how Saturday Tuesday this season is at the minute. So in an ideal world, you'd have a whole week on the training pitch, looking at Mansfield, looking at what you want to do and what you want to exploit. Looks like we've had 1 or 2 days to do it, and they've just not done it. So moving forward, you can sort of understand where maybe tactically we're not as good as we should have been. But it didn't work in the first half. It looks like he changed it slightly in the second, and we had a lot more joy. In the second half was quite entertaining, a lot better watch. But he was obviously trying to do something in the first half, and I think sometimes we just assume we're doing it for the sake of it. There's always a reason to why we're doing something. You know, just because we don't know what that reason is doesn't mean there isn't one.
Try something. Why? Like half these players aren't going to be here next year. Why bother trying something?
Yeah, but
they could try winning a home game.
Yeah,
well, that's obviously what he's trying to do. He's not gone right. We're gonna push 4 blokes really high up the pitch because that's a really defensive thing to do to try and get a point. He's tinkering again.
He's tinkering. Yeah, I just don't understand.
But there's a couple of reasons, isn't there? He wants to try and exploit a playoff team, which are a decent team, goes through in the playoffs. So he's wanting to try and beat them, and he's looked at ways how they can do it. It's not worked. He's also maybe wanting to have a look at players and see what they can do for next season. Do they pick up tactical changes as well as they should do? You know, you're a professional footballer. If you're told to do something, it should be quite easy to be able to do it. You know, so we could say, oh well, you know, let's just play our way. But then if that doesn't
work, is he playing Gallagher?
I don't think that's easy. It's not easy. If you're told to do something, that's not easy to do it. That's, you know, you've got so many different scenarios in a game. It's not easy just to be told to let's play a different. He said they only started talking about it on Friday. You know, we've currently won 4 home games, the joint lowest in the last 130 years.
That's a hell of a stat. 130 years.
At the moment, with 3 games to go, we have won 4 games. It's the joint lowest since we joined Division 2 in 1892.
Well, how many did we win in 2000? How many
completely different things?
That's wins.
How many did we win in 2009, 2010?
Hang on, it's completely different things. Well, it is. One's wins and 1 point.
Because we've drawn a hell of a lot of home games.
We've drawn 10 games,
which is nearly half of them. But no, it's half of them, isn't it?
We've drawn 10 and won 4.
What did we win in 2009, 2010? Because that was the worst season ever.
That was the second joint lowest. Actually, weren't we worse in 2008-9? But so in the last whatever number of years, 10 or 12 years, we've had two of the lowest. Last season we won 15 home games.
I just don't. My thought process is we'd landed on 4-3-3, which seemed to be working really well. We played some really good football with it, and I understand if you've had a week to work on something to try and beat a playoff pushing team. Which, by the way, the 2 times we played Mansfield, they're shit. Like God knows if they're in the playoffs, we should be well around them next year. But if you've worked on it for a week, then that's fine. But you're saying you worked on it on Friday. Why don't you just stick to what's working? Because there's no point in putting Gallagher on because he's not going to be here. Taylor's most likely not going to be here next year. You're going to have so many rafter changes. There's not really. Smith isn't going to be here. You got, what's the point in tinkering with it? Just go with what will be entertaining and what will work.
You've got a crowd of over 7,000 again yesterday, and they've seen 4 home wins all season. I think I'm with Alex. I think trying to win the game, not saying we've tried to win it because we've trained the formation. I think trying to entertain and give the fans some value for money that are going to every home game.
But Bruce, if he thinks it's going to work, he's not done it because he doesn't think it's going to work, does he? So it's not worked, but he's gone into the game with thinking, right, this might work. I've seen how Mansfield play. If we can exploit this, we might win the game. And he's tried something.
Fine.
Now we do quite often say, oh, he's too stubborn, he doesn't try stuff. Well, he's just tried something. It's not worked. He's changed it. That's what happens.
And then he's so stubborn. He's realised that basically we can't do it, or he's got it wrong, and he's reversed to type, and it was a much better watch in the second half.
Yeah, but that's
the overarching points about the home. In the second half, we played better yesterday than we have done in the majority of home games this season. I think that the bigger issue with the home form is more kind of holistic than just yesterday. Apart from Luton in the cup and Plymouth in the cup, how many times can you actually say we've entertained sides this season at home? Now, so you can spin the argument one of both ways and just say with the away form's been, but we've lost more away games than we have home games, which is sort of seems paradoxical given the kind of discrepancy in the points accumulated. But you say, oh, Gallagher won't be here next season, but if he wants to play a little bit more, sort of like maybe a little bit more tippy tappy, drawing pressing sides out a little bit more, you might as well see if some of the players who are out of contract can do that. And Mar's going to be here next season. Crocombe will probably be here next season. Mishi will be here next season. Kieran Green will be here next season. Bryn Morris might be here next season. Harry Clifton will hopefully still be here next season. So to say we're doing it when everyone's going, that argument doesn't bear scrutiny.
I think you're being really unfair there, Sam. And I think sometimes when you talk very definitively rather than just saying, like, you're making presumptions on who is staying and who isn't, and that's not something you know.
Presumptions are based on who.
No, hang on.
He might want to.
Hang on. You got to let people finish, haven't you? Because it's not the House of Commons. We can't all shout over each other because that sounds terrible. But you don't know who's here going to be next season. I would suggest, as statistics would say, that at least 35 to 50% of the players we've got currently starting in that starting 11 will move, because that's what's happening. And that's what happened last season, even though we retained quite a lot of the players we wanted to keep. And that's what will happen as well. Gallagher won't stay because Gallagher's a lone player. And statistically speaking, we'll never keep them. We never do. And the same will happen with Lloyd, whatever people want to happen.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And it's just, look, if you've got something and you're trying to work something and it's going to work and you want to try something, then that's fine. But the suggestion would be that on Friday is not much prep time for trying that on a way we haven't played. And we've seen, previously that we're not very good at playing out from the back, though I am going back a season or two. It's just when that's happening, those changes were not made quickly enough. We were awful yesterday and we were awful for 45 minutes and it was coming, and Mansfield were all over us. And within half an hour, 45 minutes, he should have been making those changes beforehand. It's just the tinkering. And I think it is going to have an effect. We put out that poll and I was very much of the opinion that it won't necessarily have that much of a change, but 18% of people, which is nearly 1,000, are saying that they're not going to renew their season ticket. Now that might not come to bear, but it's still an indicator that people are a bit annoyed. And 4 wins all season is terrible. So I don't understand why, when we've got 4-3-3 and it's worked, we're not just staying with that, because we've got so many games at the moment. We can't really do all this tinkering and playing around with it. And if he wants to play with the players that are going to be here next season, then play with the players that are in contract. Play with Hunt, play with Orsi, play with the players that are going to be here next season rather than they will be, that won't be. That's what I don't understand. I hope that makes sense.
I have to say, I do think that the number of home games we've won is a little bit of an anomaly this season, but I still think that we need to try and, we said we want to finish the season. I'm torn. I think he's torn between what he wants to do, and I certainly am, because I want people to come back next season. I want people to be entertained. There's a crowd of 7,000 yesterday, and yes, in the end we got a draw, but it's another game that we didn't win at home. Now, I want them to come back. I understand that he wants to try things, but like you've said, some of the players aren't going to be here next year. I just think a home game. I just think we just need to win games. Win games and build confidence and build morale and amongst the fans, and just let's keep this bounce that we've got with the cup run and a reasonable finish in the league this season overall. I mean, we've scored 20 goals in 20 home games. It's not like you say, we've not been royally entertained at home. We've really, really struggled to break teams down at home.
I do think that, it is I'm not one that sat there at home games, so I completely understand. You need to see more wins at home. And I think anybody disagrees with that fact. That has to change. I do think it might be a bit of an anomaly because I don't see, if I can even say the word, I don't necessarily see us being any different away from home as we are at home, really. Maybe slightly, but not massively. So I can't work out why there's a difference in it. With yesterday, I don't have a big problem with him looking at a team and looking at a game and thinking, right, let's try something new, because that's how we fell into the 5-5-3-2, which we had a lot of success with. He tried something new. You know, you can argue, yeah, he needed to change it sooner, but he's tried to identify something and try to think, right, this is going to exploit their weaknesses. It's going to score us more goals, and we might be able to win the game playing this, possibly. So the alternative is, if you say we've not been good enough at home, then doing what we've always done, you might always get what you've always got. So what he's tried to do, I think, is think, right, should we try something a bit different, see if that works? It didn't work. Let's go back. You know, so we can say, oh, you know, we've got to improve at home. Well, then that may mean we have to try something different, you know, because we've been playing poorly at home all season, really. So I don't mind him trying anything different. But, you know, the home form, if we can, the home form is bad and it needs to improve. I don't think necessarily it's going to have too much impact on season ticket sales. I think those season ticket sales this year were astronomical high. I think they're always going to be lower. I think there's an element of when you get into the summer, people's minds change. They're looking forward to a new season, not looking back at what they've just had. Also, I don't think the overall attendance next year will change. Season tickets may, but I don't think the overall attendance will, because I still think there will be that many people at the game. So I agree with you. The home form has to be better, but if we can just turn a couple of those draws into wins, then it already looks better. Now, that's easy to say, but I think that's a clear route to next season. Is right. Let's try and keep what we've done, but let's improve that home form a bit, turning 3 or 4 of those draws into wins, and it already looks better overnight. So it's frustrating, yes, but I don't think I think it's something you can see there is, you know, we've not been battered at home. It's not been, we've drawn a lot, to be honest, and we just need to turn a few of those into wins, and we'd be in a lot better position. But looking at it now, we're 13th in the league, couple of points off top half. I think we'd all take that. We just need that home form to improve and a bit more entertainment at home, which hopefully another window will bring.
It is a particular. I saw a tweet about an hour ago, actually. I can't remember who it was who put it out, but said that we have the 3rd highest XG at home. Now, I know XG is disputed in terms of its its sort of authenticity, but that indicates that it is a bit of an anomaly, as we've said and Hurst referred to it as a quirk. But that basically lays bare, I think, our lack of cutting edge at the top sharp end of the pitch. We get into loads of good areas quite a lot of the time, but then the final ball lets us down, or the shot just ain't quite right, that kind of thing. So I don't think we're kind of like everything's fundamentally wrong at home, by any stretch of the imagination. And I think the key indicators bear that out. But there's obviously something there that's not quite working. And I can probably name half a dozen games in my head that I think a proper team, like a really seriously good team at League Two, senses blood in these and goes for them. Yesterday was one of those. Newport was one of those. Harrogate was one of those. Even Orient was one of those. Because a lot of these sides, and I think we're the same, is that are there for the taking if a good side comes along. But then you can't just kind of discredit with the away. I'm sure Hurst thinking at it deeply about why there's such a discrepancy. Because he'll want to improve the home form, but not lose how well we've been away. Sorry, I'm nearly yawning then.
You're boring yourself.
No, that was a cough. That was a cough. That wasn't a yawn. He's gonna sleep.
Is he all right?
That was beef. I thought he paused then.
It was a yawn.
He's got beef in his bonnet, hasn't he?
What was I think the first half was. I think the reason why we're a better away team is we're effectively a counter-attacking team, and we don't necessarily like to have the ball, and we like the other team to dictate it, and we can come back at them. And apart from Crawley, I can't remember an away game where we had as much of a much dominance. Am I right? There we go. I just think we're a counter-attacking team, and I think that's why it suits us. As I said, maybe it's just that whole thing of Blundell Park. Grimsby don't play it well in front of a full Blundell Park. Maybe this is just a season's worth of that being true. Maybe.
I do think as well. I don't want to throw the old line out we have done before, but we also have to remember that this is very much maybe a consolidation season, and I think again, agree. Home form's got to be better. It's not.
I think we
acceptable.
need a klaxon for consolidation season.
But on the face of it, we've got up into the Football League. We've been competitive. We need to improve all over the pitch, probably. But first job done, and then we're getting into the minutiae of complaining about home against away form. So again, you valid point, Bruce. Totally agree with you. It has to get better. But I think we maybe look a little bit more big picture sometimes when we think of this. It's not great, needs to improve, but hopefully it's a bit of a process as opposed to an overnight thing in the pre-season we've just had.
Regarding that, though, maybe it's very easy for me and you particularly to sit here as London-based Mariners and say it's fine because you and I go to a lot more away games than we do home games. Bruce has been to every home game this season, or most of the home games this season. So your experience is going to be slightly different, and maybe that's why. And everyone's got their right to be complaining about the home form. So I think there's probably something in that.
The problem is as well, though, we just have to be very careful. The league, we've got an opportunity here to finish 11th. I think 11th is a very achievable target. We won't make Sutton, but we're only a point behind Tranmere. But at the same time, we are only 4 points behind 18th. So, that is the problem. Now, there isn't much between, as I would say, all those teams are pretty much of a muchness. I watch quite a lot of Gillingham stuff and Wimbledon stuff for some reason. It just comes up on my feed quite a lot. And they're always moaning about, be unable to achieve anything. And, it's terrible having Harry Pell in a squad, so they must be frustrated anyway. But we're all pretty much the same, and it almost becomes irrelevant what league position we all finish in because we're pretty much the same sort of team with our own problems. But there's a hell of a lot of a different season finishing 11th to 18th. And it only takes a couple of draws at home or we got 3 home games now. So I think it does matter. And I understand the idea of trying things. And if you're going to bring Corey on, that's great. I think you should do. But I think there are some times when you just go, look, if you can finish 11th, maybe it's because we don't have these seasons where they just fade away. Even when we have those terrible seasons when we fight against relegation, you end on a buzz because you go, actually, hang on, we've won 4 out of our last 7 games and they were all really gritted and determined. And, if we keep these squad, then we'll go on a run and we'll get to the playoffs. It's not how it really works, is it? It's, we're all right and changes will be made and we'll probably improve. And if we finish above 13th, I'm absolutely delighted. And that's a phenomenal season. But I agree with Bruce that there are a lot of people as well that just want to kick the club. And this is an opportunity to kick the club. And I'm not including Bruce in that, but they're just waiting for the club to slip up and Hurst to slip up. And then the knives are out. And I don't want that to happen. But I also want to make sure that there is that buzz still around the town because it's so precious that maybe that should take precedence over. Let's try playing out from the back. Let's just stick with that 4-3-3 or what worked in the second half. Because in the second half we were good. And maybe we should talk about that.
I mean, I do agree with Sam, and that's why I caveated when I started talking. It's easy for me to say it doesn't have to go to the home games like Bruce does every Saturday and traipse along and see 4 home wins. So I completely get that. I don't think we disagree. I think we maybe have a difference of we might have a difference of cause and effect, maybe, but I think we all broadly agree. And sometimes I think you see people go a little bit overboard, which might make people like me and Sam possibly be a little bit more overboard with our view, to compensate. That's a possibility.
Yeah, and I think the problem is with that is when I want to say, oh, we were really shit, it then throws me into the Hurst out campaign. It's like, no, I'm fine with him. It's just that was really shit. But the second half was fine, and I can understand that reaction. You end up going the other way. It's just I just want to say we weren't great, and yeah, you're right. I agree 100% with you. We should throw him in the seat. No, that's not what I said. That can be, we could just say they were pretty poor, and we can move on. It doesn't have to be, Hurst out. It can just be, that wasn't great. Maybe do better.
I mean, I have no problem saying the first half yesterday was shit. Most of the Donny game was shit, but that doesn't automatically move you to that camp. I think sometimes everything's fantastic or everything's shit. It's not. It's generally in the middle. And I think sometimes we get a bit polarized with that, don't we? You can't criticize without, having to go the other way. So we're usually in the middle. It's quite a polarized world, isn't it?
I think the season as a whole, like I say, I'm happy with I'm relatively happy with the season that we've had. Like everyone said, we've not gone in any danger really. We got a bit panicky, but I think that was just recent history that did that. But we've not been in any danger of going down really. But now with another window, I want to see progression. I want to see the club continue to move forward, and we need to be better in areas that we've not been so good in this year, while maintaining the good things that we have had this year. So we'll wait and see. I want to see us push on again now, and I think the club's got a real opportunity to push right up towards the top of this league, certainly the playoffs, and keep the momentum and the feel good factor going. And that's why that's one of the reasons why, like I say, I am getting a little hacked off with the home form, because your home us taking 3,000 to Bradford doesn't bring any coffers into the club, does it? It's the home fans that do that.
It is right that, and Hurst will come under some pressure if we start next season even inconsistently. He will come under some severe scrutiny, because Mike and I have kind of also have talked about sort of like the mitigations to this season extensively in terms of finish sixth. I won't repeat them. We all know what they are, but that all goes at the start of next season. And if we start the season okay, I mean, I think most people remain pretty patient for a bit. But if we're sort of not in and around the playoffs by, say, October, I think questions will start to be asked from all corners.
The first defeat, we lose the first game of the season, even if we play Wrexham or
we're going to trust me, that's going to happen. We're going to play Wrexham on the first day of next season.
Lose 3-0.
I'm absolutely certain about it.
Yeah. And that'll be, Hurst out. Look, he's had all this time to prepare. He's got all this money. And it'll be...
Haaland will get a hat-trick.
Yeah. Man City in the Man City in the League Cup. So we have Wrexham
that was for Wrexham. That was for Wrexham.
Oh, yeah, true. Yeah. I mean, I thought we were getting him.
I mean, genuinely, that's the issue, because that will happen. There are people that just will never be happy. And we've said before, it links back to his first time here in the Cup in the years and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. It links into that. And there's some people, a vocal minority of the fan base, which will never be happy. So if you lose your first game, there'll be somebody on there. There'll be a group of people on there saying it. So sometimes, I think we have to, maybe me and Sam do overcompensate a little bit to try and make up for that a little bit, because the Hurst out, brigade is a little bit bonkers at the minute. I just think it is. I mean, you can criticise, but I think that the Hurst out campaign is just a little bit off the scale.
I think that's completely right about it. Goes back to I really wish he hadn't cupped his ear that day. He let himself down there, frankly.
I loved it, and he was cupping it at me.
I wasn't surprised.
He was cupping it at me, and I didn't mind it.
I get why he did it, but I wish he hadn't done it, because it still grates with people to this day.
Get over it, really. Get over it.
But, yeah. I can see why some people would have a problem with it, because he has come under some. But the Hurst out brigade is also quite a minority view, I think, Mike. It's just kind of like they're the sort of noisiest group, into the noisiest group in sort of the Hurst out, and it's like hammering your head against a brick wall. When there kind of there's no room for kind of nuance in the debate at all. Yeah, so that's the thing. But I will reinforce that point that the cup run and the full close season. Hurst has never had this before as Grimsby Town manager. He has never been he has never been in March knowing which league we're going to be in next season. He's Grimsby Town sole manager. We sort of had it in the National League when he was with Shouty, didn't we?
That's a good point.
He has never had this in terms of a full close season, a full pre-season, and kind of publicly more money given the cup run. And they can say all they like about how not all of it's going in. I'm sure that's for the benefit of agents and to kind of temper expectations.
Yeah, they came back on that, didn't they?
I think quickly. I think
that 1.6 million very quickly changed, didn't it? After he got over the initial excitement. So, oh no, well, you see, yes.
We've got
VAR to pay for.
We've got 350 grand worth of main stand improvements to make. I think if he was honest, I think he regretted saying that, didn't he? But that will put some pressure on Hurst. and the noise will get less. But frankly, I think Jason and Andrew aren't bothered about noise, and they will continue to kind of, because in my view, either back him or you don't. We can't be going into the season saying if we're not right up there after 10 games, then he has to go. If we're going to give him a loan, give him the money, and we have to back him.
I think with all these things, Sam, the circumstances of where you are have to come into play. So if we're in a certain position next year, we have to look at the context of that. Is there a reason or not? And then that has to judge it. You can't just give a sort of definitive, we have to be in this position and then throw all context out the window. But if you want to look at positives, I think, yesterday we did change it at half time. So we changed it earlier than he usually does, Alex. And, we played some decent stuff in the second half. We should have given it a bit more of a go, I think. But I think the second half was more entertaining, which wasn't difficult. But maybe take a little bit of comfort that might be a bit of a sign that it was better second half, and hopefully we can carry on with that into Tuesday and try and start that from the start of the game, perhaps.
Sam, they're not looking at knocking down the main stand. That's fine. Don't worry about that. They are doing some work on it, though. As for the corner thing, I don't know. I don't think anything's been confirmed on that. But it'd be a good thing to do. But yeah, the main stand is staying. Drops mic.
Bruce, smile, mate. Smile.
He's got a season ticket. That's why he's not smiling. Yeah,
I'm all good, mate. I'm all good.
Right, so let's have a look. Some people are coming through. So
have I.
Yeah, but you didn't have to see them all. How hopefully you all that the cup run will attract better players in the summer. Richard says he doesn't mean the money; he means the improved profile. I think, Richard, we've got to keep playing on that, and I think we need to. We've talked about it on here before. I think we need to try and find a way of being able to transplant that atmosphere that we had at Southampton and Brighton and put it in at Blundell Park. That will include winning more than 4 games a season at home, but it will also include actually creating a place where that atmosphere can be generated. And we've come up with our ideas. The club have probably got their own, but that needs to be done. If they don't do anything now this season to help generate that atmosphere, I will be disappointed in how the club are thinking about things.
Hopefully, if we get them on in the summer, it's something we can ask them. I would be amazed if they haven't noticed it, because it's obvious to everybody, the difference between away and home atmosphere. And we've gone over it. We know the reasons for it. So,
just answering the question directly regarding the profile, surely it can't harm us in any way, because basically for 20 odd years we've had nothing but negative coverage, and you had. But the cup run's given us some positive coverage, and then there's recency bias and all the sort of things. So I can't see how it would harm us in profile wise. But the money will always be the biggest factor, and we still do play with half our catchment area in the North Sea. So those fundamentals won't change, however much we want them to in terms of how they affect signing players.
I will say, before the Hartlepool game, I don't know if I forgot to mention this to you guys, but I did hear the first little insight into Paul Hurst changing his mind around wages, and he said sometimes it amazes me how much people are paid, but sometimes we might have to understand we're going to have to compete with that, and all through January window he's on about money, and we're not going to pay silly money. I did hear the first sort of chink of maybe a mind change with him saying, we're going to have to pay it and just be happy with it. So I think maybe the pennies dropped.
We're getting Haaland.
Yeah, that's it.
He was more explicit than that, actually. He basically said that the words he used were, I'm sort of at peace with the facts that I'm going to be spending more money on certain areas of the pitch than I'm more naturally comfortable with.
Such as the pitch.
So I was on the train up back home when I was listening to it, so it was a bitty, but it was interesting to see that he was sort of admitting that fact. And actually at the end of January he did say, maybe I'm too fussy, so there is obviously people criticize for that side of things, but there is obviously a self-awareness with that.
There's a huge amount of self-awareness with Hurst, but he just he disguises it very well, because he wants to appear like he's got the courage of his convictions, rather than sort of is easy to kind of he flip-flops a bit too much. No jokes about flip-flopping. But no, he's and hence I think he's a lot better manager now than he was when he left us last time.
I'm slightly worried.
In terms of the way he manages the media. for certain.
I'm slightly worried about a manager who brought in Anthony Straker is saying he might need to lower his standards, but that's been very uncalled for. Or Vickers Peters or O'Neill or whoever else these young lads have been that haven't hit the ground running.
I'm really surprised because one of my friends who works for a different MP, when we signed him, said he's a big Preston fan. He said to me, "I'm astonished. He signed for a League Two club. He's been coming on and doing well in the Championship." He said, "It's a fantastic signing. He'll probably tear it up for you lads." So I was like, "Oh, this is great." And then
I heard the same.
And then he came on at Crawley, and I thought, "Well, have we got his brother or something? Because this is not the guy that I was told about."
Jack Allen wants to know who's been your player of the season so far. I go with Jack. Harry Clifton for me. If not him, maybe Ma. What about you, Bruce? Player of the season so far? Nothing written in stone.
Yeah, I think probably it's like you say, consistency-wise, either one of the two centre backs or Clifton. I don't think we've always played Clifton in the best position. He looked completely lost yesterday in the first half. He barely got a kick. We need him in the middle of the pitch. But yeah, I would go along with what you said. Really, I think Mar's been. I think Mar can be a good player for us going forward. I think Green can. He's going to have his limitations, but he's going to have what he does do. You know, he does what he says on the tin, and he'll do it very well for us. But obviously, he's had a period out of the team. But yeah, I think Clifton.
Yeah, I mean, Green, as Hurst said, Green will run through brick walls for you. He's trying to play on with broken ribs and stuff. But I think you can't look any further than Harry Clifton. I think if anybody else wins it, that's bonkers. I think you can't look any more than Clifton. Ma has improved as the season's gone on, as has Green, as Bruce has said. Whilst he's nowhere near winning it, I think also a shout out to Glennon in terms of goal involvements. I think that's something we need to capitalise on a little bit more for a wing back, a left back to be scoring and assisting as many as he does. I think we can improve in that next season. But yeah, they're the sort of three that have been the best. But you know, it's Clifton all day long. You can't look further than that.
You like Glennon, don't you, Mike?
I told you the day I'm in the opposite fullback sort of society. I'll defend. It's a hill I am prepared to die on, like you with the Fete. I will die on that hill.
I'm not sure you're quite taking it to the extremes I have. I'm going to go against the grain and say Harry Clifton's going to win Player of the Season, and I'll have no issue with that. But no one's mentioned Waterfall, who I think's had a very, very good season again. He's kind of been. He's not looked like the player who was kind of like Bambi on ice in the relegation season. Even though I didn't think he was as bad as some people said he was, I think he was scapegoated a little bit. But I think he's been, on the whole, barring one or two slips, excellent this season.
Waterfall's an interesting one. So I completely agree with you, and I think the transformation from that Holloway season to last season and this season is massive. But with his age and how he plays, do you think we need to be moving away? Maybe next season, you know, do we need somebody a bit better on the ball, maybe a bit more dominant? He's very dominant in the air, but maybe a bit more height is what I'm talking about. Is Waterfall our first choice centre back next year, or do you think we need to change to improve?
I think if Pearson moves up into a coaching role next season, which is what is pretty much being discussed from the interviews I've heard, then Waterfall becomes the new Pearson, and he's the sort of player you have it around. And he will play, but I think you'll find he'll transition, and it'll be just a point in which, kind of like Smith has happened this season with Mar, he's just gently phased out a little bit, and he'll make cameos, and he'll probably play in a back three and or a back five, sorry. But I think he will gently be phased out. He was, this is very harsh of me to say, but I think he was a little bit found out at Brighton. I mean, that's no shame. But his
found out at Brighton. There's the pod title.
Yeah, but do you know what I mean? His negatives were highlighted more there because he wasn't quick on his feet. He wasn't quick on the turn.
He couldn't deal with Mitoma.
But he doesn't. He doesn't play. I was going to say he doesn't play players like that every week. He's only 32.
But do you know what I mean?
And his game's not. I mean, and he's never been very good when he's running towards his own goal. So it's not like I sort of agree generally, and basically that he'd be a third choice centre back, and he'd have no concerns if that one of your first choice centre half got injured or suspended, and he could come in for a few games. I'd be surprised if he didn't start next season, though. Again, maybe the question there is how much better do you think Hurst can do?
Well, I think the question is more if we are going for it next season and we are looking at promotion, which I think we should be doing, then we will be playing on the front foot, and the football we will be playing and where the line is will not suit Luke Waterfall, as you say, running back towards his goal as it would do if we're a bit further back and we're defending on the back foot a little bit. Does that make sense? A bit like Harry Maguire at Leicester and Man United, there's a difference.
Yeah.
Maguire,
it's not. It's not a slight on Luke Waterfall. I think he's been a fantastic servant. I just think it looks like we're wanting to play a little bit more football, and we know his limitations with that. I think if we're going to try and move to be a more competitive side, pushing up the top end of the league, I think Luke Waterfall, as you say, Alex, becomes a Sean Pearson. The bloke you're 1-0 up away from home the last 5 minutes, they're pinging balls in like the Alamo. You stick him onto head everything that moves. I think if you're setting up as a team to try and be more on the front foot, dominate more games, score more goals, I think he'll probably go with somebody a little bit better on the ball. But that is no slight in Luke Waterfall. He's a valuable asset to the club. I want him to stay here. And I think his last 2 seasons have been an absolute revelation. I think without his consistency and performances last year, we're not a Football League side. I think it's as simple as that.
Or he's threatening the opposition box, man.
Yeah.
And if he starts and I wouldn't care, because he's still a compliment. We're talking like, ideal utopian sort of defense, 3 Andy Smiths or whatever it may be of that sort of ilk, fast on the foot and alike. That's what it is. Young Player of the Year, I don't know, Scannell.
Just going back to Smith, Smith had a bit of a nightmare yesterday in the first half, especially. His distribution was absolutely awful, and then once he started badly, which is not like Smith, because he normally
went in a spiral, didn't he?
He normally recovers well from the odd mistake, and I really like what he's given us. But there's a couple of people around me that we've talked about. Do you sign Smith if you can get him, and all this and that and the other. And there's a couple around. There's one guy sort of near me that he sort of changed his tune in the last couple of weeks, and he's not sort of not 100%. Oh yeah, definitely. I think he's a good player, and he's probably the sort of player that you would want moving forward. But I don't think he's found it plain sailing being in the Football League this season all the time.
No, I think there is an element. There is an element, Bruce. So I agree with that. I think there's an element of he's still a young lad that is fairly inconsistent. I think if you had Andy Smith playing 3 or 4 years of sort of League 2, League 1 football, he's a hell of a player. I think he needs more time to get that consistency, because he have fantastic games. I thought he was great at Doncaster, and then he'll have a game where he's not so good. But he's not so good yesterday was more distribution than actual defending. I think he was okay-ish defending. So I think he just needs to improve that consistency, which probably come with a bit of age and more experience, to be fair.
If you get an opportunity to sign Andy Smith in the summer, you should crawl across broken glass to get him and give him a 4-year contract. I think he's 20. So he's only going to get better. And I agree with you, Bruce. At Swindon, he had a nightmare in the first half. In the first half against Salford at home, he had a nightmare. But he's a young lad, and those things will get you. He has, the way you can kind of step in and pinch the ball off an opposing striker, and he can ping pass. Normally, as you say, he can ping passes way better than your average lower league centre half. And he's got more athleticism and pace. But I think, he's not played that much. I think that's more to do with the fact that Mar's our player and Smith isn't. But there is no chance of signing Andy. He got as close to a no as you'll get in an interview before Doncaster, didn't you? So we're kind of this is academic, this discussion, really, but it's fun nonetheless.
I'll tell you what wasn't a no. We're sort of flitting a little bit, but did you hear him ask the question when Matt Dean asked him about Emmanuel? That's always been a firm no. When he said we'll sit down at the end of the season and discuss his future with him. I don't think that Emmanuel, everyone said, oh, he's way too good for us. I think he's still finding his form and his fitness, and I don't think that he's proved at the moment that if I was a League One or an upper League One or a Championship club, I don't think he looks ready to go into a side at that level yet. I wonder whether we might have a chance of getting him on a 1-year deal, and he tries to get himself fit and consistently back to form, and then hopefully with us or with somebody else, then moves up back towards the levels where a player of his previous calibre should be playing. I don't think that's a definite no with him, and I think geography might actually, he obviously lives within commutable distance. I don't know whether he actually lives in Hull or not, but he obviously does. He'll obviously live somewhere where it's not a problem to come to us, and I don't think that's as definite no as we thought it might be when he first signed on a short-term deal.
And then you've got he'll have a reset, and he'll be starting at the start of pre-season and the start of the season on the same fitness levels of everybody else. And by that point, I think he'll be a monster and a kind of. And,
I just don't think he's going to.
And all my opinions regarding Michi Effetti be irrelevant because he won't get a game if Josh Emmanuel's a fully fit Josh Emmanuel's here.
I
don't think he's done enough to warrant a deal in a much higher level than us. Because I don't mean that, like I say, that player's definitely in there. We saw with the assists at Northampton and some of the games that he's some of the way that at times he just drifts past people or uses his strength to go past people, but I don't think he's found that consistency. So I hope that we might benefit from that and, have the possibility of signing him.
Yeah, I agree. I think I joked yesterday about I wouldn't be playing him for the rest of the season, and that was semi-serious because I don't think he's quite got there yet. He's shown some great flashes of what the player in there is, but I don't think he's far enough along his sort of recovery, if you want to use that word, to maybe earn something else. So I think you're helped by the fact he's a right back, and whilst if he was a striker, there would be a queue of people that were going to take a chance on it. You're less inclined to take a chance on a right back because they're less in demand. So I think maybe not as far down the journey as he might have hoped might lead us to have an outside chance of signing him. But in football, you do see some strange things, and people do take risks with players. And so if somebody higher up League Two or in League One is a bit desperate for a right back, they're probably quite likely to take a risk on him, but hopefully not.
And on the flip side of that,
it helps that he lives local, isn't it?
On the flip side of that, Mike, you go, that's George Lloyd, don't you? And he is a striker, and he scored, 6 goals now? Extrapolated over the course of the season, that would put him as the joint 4th highest league goal scorer in League Two. And he doesn't live locally by any stretch of the imagination. So that's why we've got a much less of a chance of keeping him, I think, than we have Josh Emmanuel when actually looking at it objectively. So
on Tuesday night, the mid-table game of all mid-table games, Barrow have pretty much given up hopes of reaching the playoffs after.
It's not as mid-table as next Saturday, Alex. That's the most mid-table game in the history of football, away at Tranmere.
Well, we've got a team that aren't going to make the playoffs now and are looking for this is a potential time if we can win this one. You can pull them. You can sort of get a bit close to them, and then ninth isn't out of the realms of fantasy, are they? So, have we got any thoughts on Barrow? Not particularly in the best run of form.
There's not many teams in the middle of the table that are in good form.
That's true.
Some of them are in absolute awful form.
Yeah, Donny and Swindon.
Doncaster, either side of us, like you say, Swindon. Above them, I can't read it very well, but is that Tranmere? Tranmere have lost 5 out of the last 8, or 4 out of the last 8, or they're not in very. There's a lot of red on the Fishies League table that I'm looking at.
Since lost to us, Sutton haven't been able to buy a point. They've been awful.
Well, even going further than that, it is Sutton. Yeah, sits in 10th. Sutton's form's not good. There's a real opportunity, and like you say, Tuesday night, Barrow, Tranmere away. We've already said we're better away from home. That'll be, a lot of fans will be looking to that for the last good big away day of the season. Stevenage isn't, it's not a popular one with our fans. I mean, I've been there when we've nearly filled that stand, but it doesn't stand out as a great away day. Whereas Tranmere is a bigger club traditionally. I know quite a few lads that are going to Liverpool for the weekend. I think people will make a weekend of Tranmere, and they'll see it as, like I say, the last opportunity. So I think we'll have a good following, probably take 1,000 or so. And as we've already said, we're better suited away from home. They're not in good form. that smacks. You know, as long as we've not lost on Tuesday, Tranmere smacks as a very winnable away game.
I'm doing both, so I'm doing both. Never been to Tranmere, so
we have got an awful lot of mid-table games, so there's really a good chance to, you know, to use the phrase, if they're on the beach, you can really stamp home a good finish if you actually go for that with Barrow, Tranmere, Crewe, and Wimbledon. There's a good opportunity to kick on a bit. So
and
hopefully we recognise that.
Wouldn't it be beautiful to win at Stevenage and condemn them to the playoffs?
I'd love it if we beat them.
Have we ever got a point there? Or scored a goal even? I know we have scored. Akeem Rose scored, didn't he? I remember it now. But our record at Stevenage is absolutely atrocious. So it's about time. It was at Newport, it was at Crewe, so we've won at both those places this season. So maybe that's the time to, or knowing our luck, we'll win. Sorry, we'll lose. Stephen will confirm promotion that day, and Evans will waddle over to the away end and start applauding us or something.
Do you know what? I'm talking at my arse. Barrow haven't given up on. They're 4 points behind the last playoff spot. So
no,
sorry, I was looking. I was looking at the wrong way.
That's why I said Tranmere was more mid-table than Barrow. But Barrow aren't going to make the playoffs.
What do you want? A bloody prize? What do you want? Do you want these? I'll give you them. Do you want that as the prize? What's going on?
He just wants the Fete one.
He just
wants
the
Fete one.
Yeah, well, he can have him.
I'm gonna get an Fete shirt next season. I've decided.
That'll look interesting.
What club? Yeah, what club's it going to be?
I thought well, we will talk about it at some point because Sam will get very passionate. But he had a very poor game yesterday, and from all the statistical stuff that I could see, it backed it up as well. He's just
inconsistent. He's been inconsistent. He's been inconsistent in the same game. He'll do two brilliant things and then two. But I'm not going to go on about him. I thought interestingly, probably the most excited message in the pod WhatsApp this week was when I suggested we do a summer pod at the cricket club. That went down very well. There were people prepared to travel from down south for a session in the cricket club.
Yeah, and you immediately went on the attack, didn't you?
We'll sort it out. It's not hard, Mike.
You immediately went on the toe. You should come on.
Yeah, we'll try and arrange it. We'll try and arrange it for the day before a home game next year. No, but
that's exactly how Bruce sounds, by the way.
We'll have to sort something out. Maybe around a pre-season friendly or something. We'll get you boys up. We'll get you on the Madry.
Cleethorpes friendly.
Winterton or Scunthorpe, one of those small teams. If we play them in pre-season,
I'm going to go back to mum and dad's a bit during August because that's parliamentary recess. So I'm going to be. So I will be
school holiday.
But basically, yeah. But no, the MPs are still working. They're just doing constituency-related tasks rather than parliamentary stuff.
What does Leah do while that's happening then?
Oh, you don't know.
But Leah, she'll be busy working hard, knocking doors and speaking to local people.
She doesn't know where Grimsby is. No, anyway, she doesn't know where Grimsby is, does she? But sorry, go on back about the.
Yeah, but
so you're going to be up here, are you?
So I'm going to be. I'll be doing plenty of home games in the first 6 weeks, in the first 4 or 5 weeks of next season. Yeah.
I might as well. I've got a few family things that are going to be happening that sort of summer, early season, so I'll be about quite a bit.
And after my successful trip yesterday, meaning that I now know I can get back get to Cleethorpes and back in a day. I'll do more home games next season.
Train friend, we can go together. Train friend. I'm not sitting on a train with you for 3 hours. I'm sorry, I'm just not doing it.
Especially when you've got the Grimsby. The problem is when you got the new at Northgate one, there's only one carriage, so it's not like you can go from one side of the train to the other.
No, I was at Doncaster. I was on that super fast LNER one that goes straight from non-stopper from King's Cross to Doncaster. It was an hour and 28 minutes. It took me as long to get from Doncaster to Cleethorpes to get from King's Cross to Doncaster. Bloody
I was up over the bank holiday weekend, and to get from Scunthorpe to Rotherham to Sheffield was about 3 hours. It is an absolute joke. Yeah. Just saying, joke.
It'll get fixed in a couple of years, Mike. Don't worry about it.
No, it won't. No, rail infrastructure is complete. What did you lot do with rail infrastructure last time you were in? Absolutely nothing.
He knows what.
Right, press that button, you two. Just press that button.
How's the school, mate? What are you on about?
Right, I think we're done. I think we're done because I want to go have some more birthday cake. Anything before anybody wants to go? No.
Birthday cake. And have some of that.
I think we should invite.
Can I have a gold
Go on,
bar,
Tom.
Bruce? Can I have a gold card?
Yes, yeah, I will keep it for you.
Can I have a
for
gold bar?
I will keep it for you for the. Are you coming for the Wimbledon game?
Do people
I am, yes.
listen to this, really? People
keep it for
really
the
listen to
Wimbledon
this
game.
stuff.
I don't even listen to it. But
Mike, yours has got a best before date of 2027 on it. So hopefully,
You'll be
I'll
down
see
this
you.
way between now and then, Bruce.
yeah,
Bruce,
hopefully I'll remember to-
you're an absolute twat, mate. I hate you.
Hopefully, I'll remember to bring it. But
This guy over here has been to less games than me.
Have I?
Yeah.
Right,
Probably.
He's done more. No, I think he's done more. And he seems like
No, we
he's
worked
done
out
more.
on the WhatsApp group the other day. We worked it out.
Right,
Did we?
Right,
No, I
right,
wasn't
I
there.
think I've done one more than him.
work it out then. Orient, did you both do that?
Yeah.
Sam. No, that's. Oh, go on.
Colchester?
Yes.
Shit, I might be wrong.
Where else have we got then? Wimbledon?
Yes.
Swindon?
Yes.
Yeah,
Luton.
we'll stop there, Sam. We'll stop there, mate. We'll stop
Because
there.
it's
It's 3-1.
Alex did do Luton and Alex did do Sutton.
No, I did
No, he
Gillingham.
didn't. No, he didn't.
No, he's saying he didn't. No one's saying I did.
I did Luton and Sutton, so it's 3-3. So we might be back.
You both did Gillingham because I stuck
Yeah.
with you both at Gillingham.
Yeah.
That was shit. Not standing with you two. That was just a game.
The
Did we
best
do
bit was the
Southampton?
stand,
Did
wasn't
you-
it?
Did you do Southampton?
I did. Did you?
Did you do Brighton?
I did.
Yeah, I did. So.
Are you going to do Stevenage?
I'm doing Stevenage.
I might have to now.
Who's
what
been
was the
the
other one? Hang on.
furthest north? Who's been the furthest north?
I went to
Luton, me.
I went to Wimbledon.
Luton, me.
I went to
Crawley?
Bradford. I went to Bradford, so I win that.
Crawley, the furthest north.
Did you
In
do,
fairness-
did you do, Mike,
in
did
fairness,
you do Crawley?
No, I didn't. No.
Oh, there we go.
Where's the furthest north you've been, Bruce? Did you go to Hartlepool?
All right.
Not this year. Not this year. No, Barrow. Yeah,
Did you-
Barrow.
Barry.
Barrow on a Tuesday night. Yeah, that was the furthest
In fairness,
north,
chaps, I did come up
Sorry.
with the intention of doing Hartlepool and Doncaster, but for other reasons couldn't. So I did make some willing.
Yeah, your reputation procedure there.
Yeah.
But yeah, going back to the
Unlike
cricket
you.
club thing, I think we should open it up and have a pod piss up. That would be fun. So friends of the pod, anyone that listens, basically.
We don't have friends.
We can.
I do.
We can. Marinahodo. We can place orders at the bar. And Marinahodo can carry them for us, can he?
I've done 8.
I've still managed to avoid him since I insulted him on my first ever
8.
podcast. I'm trying to keep it that way.
I'm on 8,
I
which is
think I'm on
terrible.
I think I'm on 8.
I think you're gonna have to show your workings.
Right.
I'll text you later.
Based, I've done 29. You should be.
We don't all have
that's
expenses.
well done.
We can.
Well done, Sam.
Some of us have lives, mate, and kids and
And
families.
kids,
Can't all just swan off whenever we want to.
Some of us have got.
I've just
Some
popped
of
up
us
on
have got a
Saturday
job in
afternoon.
18 months. We've got to keep it going. We can't just be on. Can't all be on the beach now.
It's not often me that's the one winding you two up, is it? This is new.
The
This is.
small boats.
Good work, young Sam. Good work.
Well done. Right. We'll see you all later. Sorry, this has been a rambling bunch of shit, hasn't it? But
It always is.
So
Where's he gone?
more than normal. But
Sam gone?
at least it's yeah, we're going. See you later.
Open wide for some soccer!
And now the shipping forecast issued by the Met Office on behalf of the Maritime and Coast Guard Agency at 1130. Go! At 1130.
They've done it! They've done it! It's Maguire Drew! They've done it again, this team!
Magnificent piece of football. Really good goal. You can't let this one go down. Grimsby are heading back to the Football League.
Love it.